The Krasl ship hung silent in the dark space beyond Neptune. Its black hull absorbed light rather than reflected it. Inside, Commander Ravik studied the blue-green planet on his view screen. "Such a small world," he said. His scales shifted color slightly as he spoke. "And yet so much noise comes from it." The science officer nodded. "They call themselves humans. They are physically weak. No claws, no armor, poor senses. But they build interesting machines." Ravik zoomed in on Earth's moon, where a small human base sat on the gray surface. "The High Command will be pleased. It has been too long since we found new prey." The Krasl had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. They were the perfect hunters, strong, fast, with natural armor and the ability to heal quickly. No species had ever challenged them. They hunted lesser beings for sport and took their resources. It was the natural order. On Earth, Lieutenant John Carter stared at his radar screen. Something had appeared near Neptune for just a moment, then vanished. He frowned. "Did you see that?" he asked his teammate. Susan Brown looked up from her coffee. "See what?" "There was something." John pointed at the empty screen. "Never mind. Probably just space junk." But John couldn't shake the feeling something was wrong. In his 10 years working at Earth Defense Command, he had never seen a radar signature like that. Dr. Laura Miller walked quickly down the hall of NASA's main research center. Her computer had detected a strange gravitational wave near the edge of the solar system. It didn't match any known phenomenon. "Director Peterson, I need to show you this data," she said, entering his office without knocking. The director looked up from his desk. "This better be important, Laura." She placed her tablet in front of him. "Look at these readings. Something big is out there. Something that can bend space." The director studied the numbers and frowned. "Could be an equipment error. I checked 3 times, Laura insisted. "Something is watching us." Back on the Krasl ship, Ravik prepared his report for the High Command. The humans would make excellent prey. They had spread to their moon and the red planet nearby, but had not developed faster than light travel. They would be easy to hunt. "Send the scout drones," Ravik ordered. "I want more information about their weapons and defenses." Small, insect-like machines launched from the ship, heading toward Earth. They would gather data for the coming hunt. John Carter was driving home when his phone rang. It was Susan from the command center. "John, those strange readings are back, and they're multiplying." John pulled over. "Where?" "Approaching Earth's atmosphere. At least 20 objects, too small to be ships. Maybe probes." "Alert all stations," John said. "I'm coming back in." Dr. Laura Miller stood on the roof of the NASA building, looking up at the night sky. Somewhere up there, she knew something was watching. She had always believed humans weren't alone in the universe. Now she was certain. Her phone beeped with an urgent message from a colleague at the space agency. "Unidentified objects entering atmosphere. Meeting in main lab now." On the Krasl homeworld, the High Council gathered to hear Ravik's report. The largest and oldest of their kind, Supreme Commander Vexthar, listened with interest. "These humans sound weak," he said when Ravik finished. "But their technology is advancing quickly. We should not wait." Another council member clicked her claws together. "Are they worth hunting? We seek challenge and sport." "They have spread to 2 worlds already," Ravik said. "They breed quickly and adapt. In a few hundred years, they might become a problem." Vexthar stood, towering over the others. His decision was final. "Prepare the battle fleet. We will add Earth to our hunting grounds. These humans will learn what it means to be prey." The council members cheered, hungry for the thrill of a new hunt. In Earth's orbit, the first scout drone watched as a human space station slowly rotated below. It recorded and analyzed, sending data back to Ravik's ship. The humans had no idea what was coming. The hunt was about to begin. Sheriff Alan Wright had seen many strange things in his 20 years of service in Montana, but nothing like this. The object had crashed in Johnson's wheat field just before dawn, leaving a smoking trail across the early morning sky. "Stay back," he told the small crowd of farmers who had gathered. His deputy, Kate Harrison, was already putting up yellow tape around the crash site. "What do you think it is, Sheriff?" Kate asked, her hand resting nervously on her gun. "Military experiment, probably." But Alan wasn't convinced by his own words. The object was smooth and oval, about the size of a small car, with no wings or engines visible. A crack appeared in the side of the object. The crowd stepped back. Alan drew his gun. "Everyone clear out now," he shouted. But before anyone could move, the crack widened and a figure stumbled out. It wasn't human. The creature stood about 5 feet tall, with pale blue skin and 4 arms. It collapsed on the ground, clearly injured. A dark purple liquid leaked from a wound in its side. "Don't shoot," it said in perfect English. "I came to warn you." John Carter sat in a secured conference room at Earth Defense Command. The screen showed similar crash sites in Russia, Brazil, and Australia. In each case, the same type of alien had emerged with the same message: danger is coming. "They call themselves Tellurians," General Peter Dawson explained. "Apparently they've been hiding from the Krozul for centuries." Dr. Laura Miller, now working with the military, pointed to an image of a massive alien ship. "According to the Tellurian ambassador, this is just one of hundreds of Krozul hunter vessels heading toward Earth. They'll be here in less than a month." "Can we negotiate with them?" asked a government official. The Tellurian ambassador, now recovered from his injuries, shook his head. "The Krozul do not negotiate. They hunt. They have destroyed dozens of civilizations. They believe it is their right as the strongest species in the galaxy." "Then we fight," General Dawson said firmly. The Tellurian made a sound like sad laughter. "My people fought. Many species fought. All fell to the Krozul. They are stronger, faster, and their technology is far beyond yours." John leaned forward. "Then why warn us at all? Why not let us die in ignorance?" "Because there is something different about humans," the Tellurian said. "You adapt. You innovate. We have watched your history. You survive against the odds. Perhaps you can do what no other species has done." In space, Ruvik received troubling news. Tellurian escape pods. On Earth. He slammed his clawed fist on the control panel. "They must be warning the humans." His second-in-command growled. "It changes nothing. The humans cannot stop us, even with warning." "Perhaps," Ruvik said, "but Supreme Commander Vexthar will not be pleased. Prepare a hunter team to eliminate the Tellurian ambassadors. No one spoils our hunt." Laura Miller worked through the night studying the technology the Tellurians had shared. Their ship designs, weapons, and defense systems were far more advanced than Earth's, but still not enough to defeat the Krozul. "There has to be a weakness," she muttered to herself. John Carter entered her lab, carrying coffee. "Any progress?" Laura shook her head. "They're practically perfect predators. Their natural armor can stop most projectiles. They can see in almost complete darkness. They can heal from wounds that would kill humans." "Nobody's perfect," John said. "Every predator has a blind spot." Laura took the coffee gratefully. The Tellurian ambassador mentioned something interesting. "The Krozul have never needed to change their tactics. They've always been the strongest, so they never learn to adapt." John thought about this. "So they're predictable." "Possibly." Laura pulled up an image of a Krozul hunter. "They expect to win through superior strength and technology. They've never faced an enemy who fought differently." "Then we need to be unpredictable," John said. Outside the window, the first stars appeared. Somewhere up there, the most dangerous hunters in the galaxy were coming. Humanity had 1 month to prepare for a fight no other species had ever won. The Mars colony wasn't ready for an attack. The red dust swirled around the dome buildings as alarms blared. Inside the main control room, Commander Steve Martinez watched in horror as the enemy ships appeared on radar. "Battle stations," he ordered, but he knew it was hopeless. The Mars colony had only 2 defense ships and a small team of soldiers. They were scientists and miners, not warriors. The Krasl ships were huge and black, shaped like arrowheads. They moved faster than anything humans had built. The colony's defense guns fired, but the shots bounced off the alien shields. "Send the distress signal," Steve ordered. "Tell Earth what's happening." His communications officer, Linda Patel, typed quickly. "Message sent. But I don't know if it got through. They're jamming our." The roof of the control room ripped open. 3 Krasl hunters dropped in, their scaled bodies glistening in the emergency lights. They stood 7 feet tall, with powerful limbs and sharp claws. Their eyes were yellow with vertical pupils, like a cat's but far more alien. Steve reached for his gun, but he was too slow. A Krasl slashed his arm, cutting deep. Another grabbed Linda by the throat. "Weak," the lead hunter said in a rough approximation of English. "Too easy." From the corner, a young Marine named Jack Wilson watched in frozen horror. He had arrived on Mars just 2 weeks ago for his first assignment. Now he was witnessing the end of the colony. The Krasl hadn't noticed him behind the server bank. Jack knew he should fight, but what could he do? He had seen how fast they moved, how strong they were. Instead, he stayed hidden and watched. He memorized everything. How they moved, what weapons they carried, how they communicated with each other. When the Krasl left the control room to hunt other survivors, Jack crawled to the emergency escape pods. He wasn't proud of running, but someone had to warn Earth. Captain Susan Garcia of the UES Defiant was the first to respond to the Mars distress call. Her ship was the fastest in Earth's small fleet, designed for rescue operations. "My God," she whispered as they approached Mars orbit. The colony domes were broken open to the toxic atmosphere. Krasl ships still hovered nearby, like vultures over a kill. "They're turning toward us," her first officer reported. "Evasive maneuvers," Susan ordered. "We can't help Mars now. We need to report back." As the Defiant turned away, a single escape pod launched from the surface of Mars. Susan ordered it retrieved before jumping to light speed. Inside was a traumatized Jack Wilson, the sole survivor of the Mars colony. General Frank Rodriguez slammed his fist on the table. 3,000 people, he said through clenched teeth. Men, women, children. All gone in less than an hour. The Earth Defense Council meeting had turned grim. The Tellurian ambassador lowered his 4 eyes in sadness. "This is how they begin," he said. "They test your defenses with a small attack. Now they know how weak your outposts are." Dr. Lisa Chen, Earth's leading engineer, studied the footage Jack Wilson had managed to record. "Their ships use some kind of gravity technology we've never seen before. And those personal shields they wear, our bullets can't penetrate them." "Then we need better bullets," General Rodriguez said. The Tellurian shook his head. "Many species tried to match Krasl technology. All failed. You must find another way." Jack Wilson, still in his blood-stained uniform, spoke up. "They're confident, too confident. They walked through our colony like they were taking a stroll. They didn't expect any real resistance." Dr. Chen looked thoughtful. "Overconfidence can be a weakness. How long until they reach Earth?" the president asked. "Based on their speed at Mars, less than 2 weeks," Dr. Chen answered. General Rodriguez stood up straight. "Then we have 2 weeks to prepare a welcome they don't expect." On his command ship, Rovik received reports from the Mars attack. "Too easy," he told Supreme Commander Vexthar via hologram. "These humans die like all the others." Vexthar's massive form flickered in the projection. "Do not underestimate them. The Tellurians have reached them. They will be prepared. Preparation won't save them," Rovik said confidently. "Mars was just a taste. Earth will be a feast." But as he ended the transmission, Rovik felt something unusual, a small doubt. One human had escaped Mars. One had seen the Krasl and lived. That had not been part of the plan. Commander Nickel Winters looked at the small fleet of ships gathered in Earth's orbit. They were not the biggest or most powerful vessels humans had built, but they were the fastest. Each ship carried just 20 crew members and a new weapon designed by Dr. Lisa Chen. "This is crazy," said her second-in-command, Ben Roberts. "We should be bringing out the big battleships, not these little runners." Nichols shook her head. "Big ships are what they expect. The Kra'Zul want us to fight like everyone else they've beaten." She pointed to a display showing the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. "We're going to fight differently." The plan was risky. Instead of meeting the Kra'Zul fleet head-on, the small, fast human ships would hide among the asteroids and attack in quick, unexpected bursts. Hit and run, like guerrilla fighters instead of a traditional army. "All ships report ready," Ben said. Nickel took a deep breath. "Then let's go hunting." In her lab on Earth, Dr. Lisa Chen worked around the clock studying the small piece of Kra'Zul technology retrieved from Mars. It was part of a hunter's personal shield, damaged in the fight. Jack Wilson had grabbed it before escaping. "Interesting," she muttered. The device used the wearer's own body heat to power itself. It was elegant engineering, but it gave her an idea. She called General Rodriguez. "I think I found something." The Kra'Zul evolved on a planet with a stable climate. Their biology doesn't handle rapid temperature changes well. "What does that mean for us?" the general asked. "It means we might be able to disrupt their shields and possibly even their bodies by creating extreme temperature variations, hot to cold, very quickly. Can you build a weapon based on this?" Lisa looked at her team of engineers, all working frantically. "We'll need another week." "We have 4 days," the general replied grimly. Lieutenant Eric Powell led his special operations team toward the huge Kra'Zul ship. Their small craft was designed to look like space debris, just another piece of junk floating in the asteroid belt. "Remember the mission," he told his 5 team members. "Get in, place the devices, get out. No heroics." They had trained for space missions, but never anything like this. The Kra'Zul ship was bigger than anything humans had built, at least a mile long. But the Tellurian ambassador had identified a possible entry point, an exhaust port that opened briefly every few hours. As they approached, Eric saw the port begin to open. "Now," he ordered. Their craft slipped inside just before the massive doors closed. Inside the alien ship, they moved silently through dark corridors. The Kra'Zul were reptilian in nature and kept their ships warm. The human team sweated in their suits. "First target," whispered Sam Kelly, the team's tech specialist. She placed a small device on what appeared to be a power junction. It would record and transmit data back to Earth. They placed 4 more devices before a patrol of Kra'Zul hunters spotted them. The aliens moved with frightening speed. "Run," Eric shouted as he fired his weapon. The bullets bounced off the Kra'Zul shields, but the noise and light distracted them long enough for most of his team to escape. Eric knew he wouldn't make it back to the craft. "Go," he told Sam as another Kra'Zul approached. "Get the data back." Sam hesitated, then ran. Eric turned to face the hunter, determined to buy his team time. On the command ship, Rovik received troubling reports. The human fleet wasn't behaving as expected. Instead of their largest warships coming out to fight, small, fast vessels darted between asteroids, striking quickly and then disappearing. "They are cowards," his tactical officer said. "They fear a direct battle." Rovik wasn't so sure. 3 Kra'Zul ships had already been damaged by these hit-and-run attacks, and now there was a report of humans infiltrating one of their vessels. "Deploy the hunter squadrons to the asteroid field," he ordered. "Flush them out." As his officers carried out the commands, Ravik studied the human tactics. No species had ever fought the Kra'Zul this way before. Most tried to match strength with strength and always failed. These humans were using their weakness, their smaller ships, as an advantage. For the first time in his long career, Ravik felt something new. respect for his prey. Dr. Lisa Chen hadn't slept in 3 days. Her lab was filled with coffee cups and food wrappers. On the main table sat her creation, a missile unlike any built before. "Will it work?" asked General Rodriguez, looking at the strange device. "In theory," Lisa said. She wiped sweat from her forehead. "The outer shell contains superheated plasma. The inner core is liquid nitrogen. When it hits a Krozul ship, the shell breaks first, followed by the core. The rapid change from extreme heat to extreme cold should disrupt their shields and possibly their bodies." The general nodded. "How many can you make in 2 days? With every factory on Earth working, maybe 50. "We'll need more than that," he said grimly. "There's something else," Lisa added. "The data from Lieutenant Powell's team showed that Krozul ships have weak spots in their communication systems. They're vulnerable to electromagnetic pulses. Can you modify the missiles to deliver EMPs too?" Lisa thought for a moment. "Yes, we can add an EMP generator to each missile. It won't be elegant, but it should work." "Do it," the general ordered. "And Dr. Chen, your work might save our species." In the asteroid belt, the battle continued. Commander Nicole Winters had lost 5 of her 20 ships, but they had destroyed 7 Krozul vessels. It wasn't enough. "New contacts coming in," Ben reported. "At least 30 more Krozul ships." Nicole frowned. Her fleet was running low on fuel and ammunition. They couldn't keep fighting much longer. Her communications officer called out, "Commander, message from Earth. They're sending new weapons. ETA 6 hours." Nicole looked at the tactical display. "We need to hold out until then. Tell all ships to conserve ammunition and use the asteroids for cover." A massive explosion lit up space nearby. One of her ships had been caught by 3 Krozul hunters. There were no survivors. "They're learning our tactics," Ben said quietly. Nicole nodded. "Then we need new tactics." On the Krozul homeworld, the ruling council watched the battle with growing concern. Supreme Hunter Dragoth, the oldest and most experienced hunter, spoke first. "These humans fight strangely. They hide and strike like prey animals, not warriors." Another council member clicked her claws impatiently. "It doesn't matter how they fight. We outnumber them. We are stronger. We will win as we always do." "Perhaps," Dragoth said, "but no species has ever destroyed 7 of our ships in first combat. These humans adapt quickly." The council fell silent. Adaptation was not a trait the Krozul valued. They had been the apex predators for so long that they had stopped evolving. Their way of fighting hadn't changed in 1,000 years because it had never needed to. "Send more ships," the council leader decided. "Overwhelm them with numbers. This will end like all our hunts, with new trophies for our hauls." Admiral Jane Foster watched the Earth's last line of defense take shape. Every ship humanity could muster was now in orbit. Military vessels, converted cargo ships, even space tourism shuttles fitted with weapons. "The new missiles are loaded on all capable ships," her aide reported. Jane nodded. "Deploy them in Formation Delta. Put the ships with Dr. Chen's missiles in the center. They'll strike when the Krozul come within range." The Tellurian ambassador stood beside her on the command deck. "I have never seen such determination," he said. "Most species surrender once they realize the Krozul's strength." "Humans don't surrender easily," Jane replied, "especially when we're fighting for our home." The radar screen beeped. The Krozul fleet had broken through the asteroid belt defense. Commander Winters and her remaining ships were falling back to Earth, drawing the enemy into the trap. "All ships, battle stations," Jane ordered. "Remember, aim for their communication arrays with the EMP missiles. Everything else is secondary." As the massive Krozul fleet approached, Jane felt a strange calm. Humans had faced extinction many times in their history, from ice ages, plagues, and their own wars. Each time, they had adapted and survived. "Let's show these hunters that on Earth, the prey bites back, she said. The battle for Earth began at dawn. The sky lit up with explosions as the first Kruzul ships entered firing range. Admiral Jane Foster watched from the command center as humanity's fleet engaged the enemy. "First wave of EMP missiles away," reported her weapons officer. On the main screen, Jane saw the missiles streak toward the largest Kruzul vessels. When they hit, there was no big explosion. Instead, a wave of blue energy washed over the alien ships. Several of them went dark, their systems fried by the electromagnetic pulse. "It's working," someone shouted. Jane didn't celebrate yet. Launched the temperature missiles at the disabled ships. The second wave of missiles hit the dark Kruzul ships. These explosions were visible. First a burst of blinding orange heat, followed immediately by a cloud of freezing gas. The rapid temperature change did exactly what Dr. Chen had predicted. The ships' hulls cracked and split open from the thermal shock. 3 Kruzul capital ships destroyed, the tactical officer announced. But there are dozens more coming. On his command ship, Rovik watched in shock as 3 of his best vessels broke apart. No species had ever managed to destroy Kruzul capital ships before. These humans had found a weakness no one else had discovered. "Adjust shields to resist temperature changes," he ordered, "and prepare the hunter squadrons. It's time to take the fight to their surface." Supreme Hunter Kravak, leader of the elite hunters, stepped forward. His body was covered in scars from 100 successful hunts. "My warriors are ready. We will show these humans the true meaning of fear." Rovik nodded. "Take the North American Command Center. Cut off their leadership." Kravak smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. "With pleasure." General Rodriguez was coordinating the space battle when the alarm sounded in the North American Defense Headquarters. "Multiple objects entering the atmosphere," a technician reported. "They're too small to be ships." The general realized what was happening. "Drop pods, they're sending hunters. Lock down the facility." Before anyone could react, the ceiling exploded inward. Dark shapes dropped into the command center. The Kruzul hunters moved with incredible speed, slashing through the guards with their claws. General Rodriguez grabbed his sidearm and fired at the nearest hunter. The bullets bounced off its shield. The hunter turned toward him, yellow eyes gleaming. "Weak," it hissed, then leaped across the room. The general felt burning pain as claws tore through his chest. As he fell, his last thought was of his daughter, Olivia. Lieutenant Olivia Mitchell led her Special Forces team through the ruins of Chicago. More drop pods had landed in major cities, spreading chaos. Her team was one of several created specifically to combat Kruzul hunters on the ground. "Remember your training," she told her 12 soldiers. "They're stronger and faster, but we're smarter. Use the environment." They had studied every piece of data from Mars and the space battles. The Kruzul were incredible predators, but they were predictable. They always attacked head-on, relying on superior strength. They never expected traps. Olivia checked the thermal scanner. 3 hunters, moving south on Michigan Avenue. Her team split into pairs, taking positions in abandoned buildings on both sides of the street. Olivia and her partner, Sam Kelly, who had survived the infiltration mission, set the trap. They placed liquid nitrogen canisters connected to motion sensors. "They're coming," Sam whispered. The 3 Kruzul hunters moved with confidence, not bothering to hide. Why should they? They feared nothing on this planet. When they reached the center of the trap, Olivia hit the detonator. The liquid nitrogen exploded outward, creating an instant freeze zone. The hunters' shields flickered as the temperature dropped. Before they could recover, Olivia's team opened fire with special rounds designed by Dr. Chen, bullets that heated up on impact, creating the same temperature shock as the missiles. 2 hunters fell immediately. The third managed to leap toward a building, but Sam was waiting. She fired a net launcher, tangling the hunter in electrified wires. "First time anyone's ever caught a Kruzul alive," she said. Olivia nodded. "Let's see what we can learn from it." In orbit, the battle continued. Earth had lost half its fleet, But the Krasl had lost more. Admiral Foster was about to order a new attack pattern when her communications officer called out, "Admiral, we're receiving signals from across the galaxy. Other species are joining the fight." On the radar, new ships appeared, vessels of designs they had never seen before. The Tellurian ambassador explained with excitement in his voice, "They've been watching. Species that have hidden from the Krasl for centuries. They see you fighting back, and for the first time, they believe victory is possible." Supreme Hunter Kravak stood in the ruins of New York City. Bodies of his fallen hunters lay around him. Never in his long life had he lost so many elite warriors in a single campaign. These humans were not like other prey. They didn't fight with honor or follow the rules of battle. They set traps. They hid. They struck from shadows. Cowards, he growled to his remaining hunters. But clever cowards. Reports came in from around the planet. In Russia, hunters had been lured into subway tunnels filled with freezing gas. In Brazil, they had been trapped in burning buildings designed to collapse. In Japan, they had been led into electromagnetic fields that disabled their shields. "We must adapt," Kravak told his warriors. This was not a phrase Krasl used often. They had never needed to change their ways before. His second-in-command looked shocked. "Adapt? Like prey. We are hunters." Kravak grabbed him by the throat. "We are survivors first, and these humans have earned our respect." He released the commander and turned to the others. "Study how they fight. Learn their tricks. Then we will show them that Krasl can adapt too." Dr. Lisa Chen examined the captured Krasl hunter. It was sedated but still dangerous. Its claws could rip through steel even without conscious effort. "Fascinating," she said. "Their bodies are perfect killing machines. But look at this." She pointed to readings on a screen. "Their brains are actually quite similar to ours in structure. They think like we do. They just haven't needed to innovate for thousands of years." Lieutenant Olivia Mitchell watched from a safe distance. "Can we use this information against them?" "Maybe." Lissa studied her data. They rely heavily on instinct when fighting. If we could somehow confuse those instincts. Olivia thought about the battles she had fought. They always expect prey to run or fight directly. They don't expect us to set traps because predators don't fall for traps. "Exactly," Lisa said. "Now imagine if we could create the ultimate trap, something that would catch not just a few hunters, but their entire command structure." In orbit, Captain Ryan Clark commanded the newly constructed UES Vengeance, built using recovered Krasl technology. It was humanity's answer to the alien battleships, smaller but faster, with systems specifically designed to counter Krasl weapons. "All systems ready," his first officer reported. Ryan nodded. "Target the enemy flagship. That's where their commander will be." The Vengeance moved through the battle with surprising speed. 3 Krasl ships tried to intercept it, but the Allied Tellurian vessels provided cover. In range, the weapons officer announced. "Fire all," Ryan ordered. The Vengeance launched a full spread of the special EMP and temperature missiles. They struck the Krasl flagship with devastating effect. Systems across the massive vessel failed. Its engines went dark. "Direct hit," the tactical officer reported. "Their flagship is disabled." Ryan allowed himself a small smile. "Prepare boarding teams. We're going to capture Rovik." On his damaged ship, Rovik received the worst news of his career. Not only was Earth still fighting back, but other species had joined them. Worlds that the Krasl thought conquered generations ago had risen up, inspired by human resistance. "We should retreat," his tactical officer suggested. "Regroup and return with more ships." Rovik snarled. "No, the Krasl do not retreat." "Sir," the officer insisted, "our engines are failing. Human boarding craft are approaching. We cannot win this battle." For the first time in his life, Rovik considered the unthinkable. The Krasl had never lost a war, never surrendered, never shown weakness. But they had never faced a species like humans before. Send a message to Supreme Commander Vexthar, Ruvik ordered. Tell him. He hesitated. Tell him humans are not prey. They are worthy opponents. Before the message could be sent, explosions rocked the ship. Human soldiers poured through breaches in the hull, wearing special suits that protected them from the Krozl's usual tactics. Ruvik drew his ceremonial blade. He would not be taken alive. But as he prepared for his final battle, he felt something strange. Respect for these humans who had done the impossible. They had beaten the greatest hunters in the galaxy by refusing to be prey. On Earth, Olivia Mitchell presented a daring plan to Admiral Foster. We can end this war right now, she explained. But it will require our most dangerous mission yet. The Admiral studied the plans. You want to capture Supreme Commander Vexthar himself, the leader of all Krozl. Yes, Olivia said confidently. Dr. Chen has developed a weapon that can temporarily disable Krozl nervous systems without killing them. If we capture their supreme leader, we can force a negotiation. It's insane, the Admiral said. Then she smiled. But that's why it might work. The Krozl never expect insanity. Supreme Commander Vexthar's ship was the largest in the Krozl fleet. It was the size of a small moon, with weapons that could destroy entire cities. As it approached Earth, the remaining human ships moved out of its way, not in retreat, but as part of a plan. They fear me, Vexthar said, watching from his command throne. His body was massive even for a Krozl, covered in battle scars from 1,000 hunts. As they should. His officers were not so confident. They had seen the reports of Rudvik's capture and the unexpected alliance of former prey species. This hunt was not going as planned. Supreme Commander, one officer said cautiously, perhaps we should consider a strategic withdrawal. These humans have proven more dangerous than expected. Vexthar rose to his full height, towering over the officer. The Krozl do not retreat. We finish what we start. Prepare all hunters for planetary assault. I will lead them myself. On the small stealth ship approaching the Krozl command vessel, Lieutenant Olivia Mitchell checked her team's equipment one last time. 12 of Earth's best soldiers, plus the Tellurian ambassador who had volunteered to guide them through the alien ship's layout. Remember, she told them, we only get one shot at this. Dr. Chen's nerve disruptor will only work at close range. We need to get within 10 feet of Vexthar. Captain Ryan Clark, who had insisted on joining the mission after capturing Ruvik, nodded. According to Ruvik's information, Vexthar will be in the central command chamber planning the final assault. The Tellurian ambassador looked at the humans with wonder. No species has ever dared to directly attack a Krozl supreme commander. It is considered impossible. Olivia checked her weapon. Humans don't believe in impossible. We just see problems that need creative solutions. Their ship approached a maintenance hatch that Ruvik had revealed under questioning. It was rarely guarded because no enemy had ever reached this far into Krozl territory before. We're in, the pilot reported as they docked with the massive ship. On Earth, Dr. Lisa Chen watched through the team's body cameras. Remember, the nerve disruptor has to hit Vexthar's central nervous system. Aim for the base of the neck where the scales are thinnest. Admiral Foster stood beside her in the command center. If this works, we might end this war today. And if it fails, asked a government official. Then Earth burns, the Admiral said simply. But we don't go quietly. Olivia's team moved silently through the massive ship. The Tellurian guided them through service tunnels rarely used by the Krozl. Twice they had to hide as hunter patrols passed by. The Krozl were preparing for their final attack on Earth, not expecting enemies inside their own ship. The command center is through those doors, the Tellurian whispered, pointing ahead. Vexthar will be surrounded by his elite guards. Olivia nodded to her team. They all understood this was likely a one-way mission. For Earth, she said quietly. They placed breaching charges on the doors. When they blew, the team rushed in throwing thermal shock grenades, the same technology as the missiles, but smaller. The rapid temperature changes disoriented the Krezul guards long enough for the human team to gain position. In the center of the room stood Vexthar, larger and more fearsome than any Krezul they had seen before. He roared in anger at the intrusion. "Humans," he snarled. "You dare!" Olivia aimed the nerve disruptor and fired. The specialized weapon hit Vexthar in the neck, but his thick scales partially blocked it. He staggered but didn't fall. With incredible speed, he leaped across the room toward Olivia. Ryan tackled her out of the way, taking a slash from Vexthar's claws across his back. The team fired again and again, but Vexthar was too fast, too strong. 3 soldiers fell to his claws. The situation was desperate. Then Olivia noticed something. Vexthar was moving in predictable patterns. Like all Krezul, he relied on the same hunting tactics that had always worked before. She waited for him to pounce, then rolled in an unexpected direction and fired the disruptor directly into his open mouth. This time, it worked. The massive Krezul commander crashed to the floor, his nervous system temporarily paralyzed. "Secure him," Olivia ordered. 1 month later, representatives from 27 species gathered on a neutral space station. Humans sat on one side of the table. Krezul, including a recovered Vexthar, sat on the other. "Never in our history have we signed a peace treaty," Vexthar said. His voice was still powerful, but there was a new tone in it: respect. Admiral Foster nodded. "There's a first time for everything." As the leaders signed the historic document, a young Krezul scientist watched from the side. Her name was Kilara, and she had studied the humans extensively since their victory. "We have much to learn from them," she told Ruvik, who had been released as part of the peace negotiations. Ruvik nodded slowly. "They taught us something no Krezul has understood for millennia. True strength isn't about being the biggest predator. It's about being able to adapt when the hunt doesn't go as planned." As the ceremony ended, human and Krezul leaders stood face to face, ancient predators and their most surprising prey. The galaxy would never be the same again.